Hello, this is my final video project. My name is Lexi Hynes. I'm 22 years old and I live in New York City. One assignment that we had this semester was the DST map. This was something that I found very important for my future development in my career because I was able to learn a lot about myself and what made me who I am. One section of this DST map is the microsystem. Some things that I included were my coworkers, the circus community, and living in New York City. Being a part of the circus community has really shaped who I am because it helped me build a sense of trust and have a community that is almost like family to me. Also, living in New York City is something that has shaped who I am just because I've lived here since I was 10 years old, and it is a very diverse and busy city, and it really shapes who you are as a person after experiencing all of it. Also, in my macro system of the DST map, two things that stood out in particular to me were that I grew up in a very liberal community and family. And this is something I want to be aware of as I go into teaching, especially if I'm going to be teaching somewhere else that is not Brooklyn, which is a very liberal place in general. I want to be aware of some of the beliefs that I have, as well as hold on to my strong beliefs about equality and justice as I become a teacher. Another event is the COVID pandemic. This is something that has greatly shaped my future career as well as who I am as a person. During this time, I moved out of my parents' house. I changed what I wanted to do in terms of schooling as well as work. And most importantly, I got a job as a assistant at a kindergarten. I was just 19 years old, and this really opened up my eyes to teaching. I had never considered it as something I wanted to do, and even just after spending a week working in that kindergarten, I realized this is not just something I love to do, but in a way, it felt like it was what I was built to do. These have greatly influenced who I am and what I want to become. I grew up in a white middle class family, and I had various influences that shaped who I am. I want to be aware that I come from a place of privilege. And as I work with students of all different backgrounds, I want to be aware of this and how my experiences growing up may have been different from theirs. Adding on to this, we talked about unconscious bias in this class. I want to be aware of any unconscious biases that I may have towards things that came up, such as gender roles or other social groups. And I want to overcome these not just for the benefit of my students, but for myself as well going forwards. I don't want to harm students in any way by having these unconscious biases that may work themselves into my speech or my way of acting. And I want to overcome these to create a safe and welcoming environment for my students. In lesson 6, we talk about our passions. I mentioned my passion for art, literature, and circus. I've always been an avid reader, a lover of art, and I love making as well as witnessing art. I can see many ways in which I can incorporate this into my future teaching. Reading, I think, is an obvious one. I would love to read to students, talk about students about reading, include book clubs, and all of these things in my lessons plans. Also, art is something that, especially with my focus on younger students, I will find helpful. The career that I'm pursuing is an elementary school teacher, more specifically, kindergarten to second grade. I've just found that I work better with younger children. I chose this career simply because I love teaching children. I love teaching. Um, I love learning from the students, especially younger students, and seeing their perspective of the world. I love finding creative ways to explore concepts and supporting the needs of different learning styles, as well as the challenges that may come with that. I enjoy the challenge of trying to explain something to someone in a different way than I may have explained it to somebody else. I just find that very engaging. In this class, we did 360 performance reviews. These were very helpful. One thing that I got back from this is that I am a very organized and on-time person. This was not news to me, as this is something that I have known about myself for a long time. Hopefully, this will help me in my future career to stay on top of lesson planning and grading and all the things that kind of happen behind the scenes of teaching. That's not just standing in front of the students and teaching, but everything else that has to go on that may require a lot of organization as well as timeliness. Also, I enjoy creativity and art. I can come up with fun and engaging projects for my students. I can use my passions to make lessons accessible for students who express themselves through creative projects. I was one of those students that enjoyed taking more artistic routes to express myself, and I want to make that an opportunity for some students if it's needed. Overall, I just want to make a difference in my students' lives. I care about empathy and kindness, and I want to model and demonstrate what equity looks like in the classroom and beyond. I want to provide support for children who may require that extra instruction and support. Overall, I want to emphasize open-mindedness and critical thinking in my lessons. I believe this is something that my students will leave the class not just knowing the material that I taught, but also knowing how they want to approach the world in a way. I want them to be critical thinkers and to not just take the material as it is, but to consider whose voices are heard, whose voices are not heard, and how they want to act on it. The personal steps that I hope to take to becoming an elementary school teacher. So in my 360 reviews, one thing that stood out to me was being more assertive. This is something that I have gotten back a lot in performance reviews throughout my career so far, and I want to work on my confidence. This is important for being a teacher because I need to work on public speaking. It is something that I'm not quite comfortable with yet, and is something that I think will be very important because I will be public speaking every day in front of a group of students. Also taking leadership roles. A teacher should be a leader and something that the children can look to see what to do next. So leadership skills are definitely important. Um, in my future, I hope to stay in New York for a few more years and find work here in the city. However, I am open to traveling. I don't really know where my life is going to take me yet. And the good thing about being a teacher is that they're needed pretty much everywhere. So for now, I want to stay in New York City, but I am open to the possibility of teaching elsewhere. Another step that I mentioned before that is very important is overcoming unconscious bias and recognizing my own personal areas of growth. I want to be the best teacher I can for my students and create an environment that is safe for them. And I think that this can be done by reflecting on myself and what I can do to grow as a person as well as a teacher. As to where I expect to be in 3, 5, and 10 years. I know I want to finish school and continue my work in circus instruction. This is something that I have mentioned a lot throughout my assignments in this class. Um, The instruction that I do in circus gives me experience working with a whole range of people. I teach adult classes, kids classes, and I truly love the work I do. I also perform, and it's a joy that I really love. However, I do recognize that this is not a career that I can have forever. It involves a lot of moving around, taking on different gigs, and wear and tear on my body. This means that I have backup plans as well as I want to continue circus instruction and performance while I have both the resources and the ability to do so. Also, in the next 3 to 5 years, I will pursue a teaching certification. I have already been looking into programs and opportunities to receive the certification through certain schools in New York, specifically the school I worked at teaching as an assistant. They have a program where I can work with them while getting my certification. Possibly, I would go after a master's degree in a few years. However, that's more of a 10 years from now. For now, I want to explore my passions and desires while I have the ability to do so. My dream is to work in a circus school as head of education or the head of the circus school. I do have coworkers and people that I know that do hold this position. However, there are limited opportunities. There's only a limited number of circus schools in the country, and I hope that I can find a way eventually to combine my passion for circus as well as teaching. Otherwise, I hope to continue my work in teaching and performing trapeze. I can see this opening up many opportunities to put my education degree to use, just teaching students and working with different people. Thank you so much.